Tonight's chapter of Hypercosmic Odyssey is the Orphenaut. As he comes to the end of a ventilation duct, Nux scans the living quarters of the Orpheus, searching for any signs of danger. The room is dark and barren, but through the advanced optics of his helmet, Nux's heart beats faster as he sees 40 beds, all of them identical, lined up neatly in rows. They're nothing more than simple mattresses laid out on a marble floor, with no personal touches or decorations to be seen. It's as though these cult members have stripped themselves of their individuality and are nothing more than a pawn in a Dark Lord's game. His eyes are immediately drawn to the stark white walls and the gleaming marble floor, its surface etched with intricate maze-like patterns similar to those in the orphanage. This was going to be a challenging task. They're in space. Flashes of the Reapers fill the boy's mind, but he pushes them away, knowing that the slightest mistake could mean his discovery or certain death. Taking a deep breath, Nux crawls out of the ventilation duct and into the dark living quarters of the Orpheus. The room is illuminated to his eyes with a soft green glow in his helmet. Nux moves quietly and cautiously, aware that the slightest sound could give away his position. He creeps along the walls, taking in the sterile, monochromatic environment that surrounds him. With a stealthy grace, Nux moves towards the door at the far end of the room. At first, he reaches out and turns the handle, pushing it open just enough to slip through. But then he hears the murmur of voices and the shuffling of feet coming from the other side. He takes a deep breath, readying himself for what lies ahead. Edging closer, he looks through a crack in the door. The secondary room is a militant room with 50 individual bunk beds, each with a locker next to the bed. A moment passes before a set of double doors open across the room, and the surviving void guard enters. At least 15. Roll observation.
I mean, I got one success, so.
Yeah. So he counts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 void guards in the room, and they're all in different various states of undress. Some of them are still wearing their helmets, or some of them are still wearing their armor. None of them are wearing their helmets, though. They've pretty much all put them aside. All of them have put all of their weapons aside. Some of them still have knives strapped on, but they're mostly sort of milling around the room, getting drinks, talking to each other under their breath. He feels his heart pounding in his chest, and he knows that these are the elite soldiers. He's killed a couple of them.
What does can you get a sense of their morale or disposition, anything like that?
Yeah, they all seem pretty exhausted. I mean, they just kind of went through that battle of Chinsen, attacking people, fighting marshals, fighting military. So they're all pretty tired, but also pretty happy, proud of themselves, feeling victorious for sure.
Okay. And Nux going into this room, is there a clear exit from where he can see?
Roll another observation for me.
Nothing.
Wow.
All right.
Okay. So he cannot really fully tell where the exit is. He knows that they came in through a door over here.
He saw them fill the room, but he can't see the exit. Got it.
Well, he saw them fill the room from this door, but he doesn't know where that door goes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so Nux, while being in the shadow, is taking a look around, and now there's the cold clarity of the threat of violence. And what's going on with the soldier that's closest to him?
He has his back turned to Nux, and he has sat down at a table with this second Void Wraith, and it appears that they're each having a drink of some kind of dark liquid. Neither of them are really talking too much. They're just kind of sitting there with their heads down. There's just he can't really hear anything.
Yeah. So he I said he wants to make sure he feels that he's as small as possible, and so he's hiding in the cranny in the shadow, and he's kind of thinking into the suit, trying to understand what its stealth capabilities are, and he's trying to see what will happen when he does that.
Okay. Roll a heavy machinery -4. All right. So as Nux is doing this, a bunch of sort of alien to him sigils and dialect like appears to sort of like flash across the screen before his eyes, but he can't read it or understand any of it. And there's this sort of like ding, 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 and like that's what he hears, and then he has no idea what happened. Go ahead and roll your panic.
Where's my, up here? -2.
All right, you keep it together. But as he then steps forward, like takes one step forward to like sort of lean up against the wall to look around to get a better view, he realizes that like his footstep made absolutely no noise.
Okay, so it's sonic stealth. So knowing that he's basically virtually silent now, he so this hallway here that's directly in front of him is the only point of egress from this corner he's in.
No, he could also go right here.
Oh, what's going on there?
So
is that it?
It's
is
like
it a door?
It's like an open, just like a little hallway thing that leads into that central room.
Okay.
There's this way and this way. And those both sort of lead to the same location.
Okay. I mean, it looks like there's just more obstacles that he can hide behind in the main room. Can he tiptoe to that corner and take a look and see what everyone's doing there?
Yeah, roll a mobility for me +5. All right, he keeps it together. So you have two, it looks like you got 2 mobility stunts, but you do successfully make it to this fucking corner right here. Or this like banister right here. And like this guy is here and this guy is here. So they could potentially see you unless you want to use one of those extras mobilities to like get further in.
Yeah, I definitely want to keep moving. So Nux looks to find the next space that he can like hunker down in, and he moves to that with 1 stunt. And then what are these 2 guys doing here?
Okay, so he's sort of wedged himself in this little corner over here.
Mm-hmm.
And these 2 guys are sitting separately at these tables, eating food, like completely, like just eating them. They're both faced in his direction.
Oh, they're faced in this direction. They didn't see me.
One of them's definitely looking up and around as he eats, and the other one is sort of more looking into his bowl of food.
Okay, and is that a bookshelf that I'm next to?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I would like to grab something from that bookshelf and throw it from the direction I just came.
Hell yeah.
So what is that, a mobility?
I would say it's like a ranged combat.
I mean, he's not engaging in combat though.
Yeah, but I mean, or manipulation, I would say it would fall under manipulation.
Okay.
Because you're trying to trick someone.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll take it.
Yeah, and that's solid. Because I was gonna say, I don't think that the suit would really provide anything special for this because he's just throwing.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. It's just him.
So yeah, okay. So he throws. What is the book that he grabs off? What is it that he grabs off of the shelf that's in this fucking like void soldier bunker crew thing? Like, what is it?
Oh, I think because it's rare to see like paper in space because it's so heavy and hard to ship. So when he picks it up, he's first surprised how heavy it is, and then he's like basically picture it like this: like he reaches behind his head with his right hand, and he pulls a book and he's like, oh shit, this is heavy. And then he like looks at the spine as he like pulls it over his shoulder, and the book is. It's like it's illustrations of war patterns from old Earth, and it's just all drawings.
Okay. And as the book sort of like clatters over in this corner, at the direction that Nux came from, both of the men look over, and they look at each other, and neither of them say anything, but one of them gets up and like walks in that direction, leaving a very short window for Nux before that guy comes back with the book.
Yeah, Nux aims to crouch behind the table and make moves for the staircase, assuming that the seated guard is watching the one who stood up.
Yeah, I'm going to say roll a mobility +3. Oh, yeah.
Jesus, right. He's panicking a lot today.
I mean, he's sneaking through like a death cult ship.
Yeah.
So he makes it to the bottom and makes it up the top. So as he's sort of at the top of the stairs, he sees this one come back, just like holding the book, and neither of them say anything to each other, but he just holds the book up and like tilts it back and forth, and then just like walks over and like puts it on the shelf, and then goes back to sit at his table again.
Wait, like he knew where it came from?
Well, that's where the books are in the room. Like it's a bookshelf.
Oh, okay. I got it. All right, so what's going on the top floor here?
So that's like a little hallway, and he could essentially like take a left into that corner room, or he could take a right into this secondary room, which
a hallway, okay.
Yeah, which has a path out to that longer. But there's two dudes hanging out in there. One of them sitting on his bed, and he's fully taken his armor off. He's taken his boots off. He's got his back to Nux. That's the first guy closest to you. The second guy is sitting at a bench at the bottom of his bed, and he's polishing his gun. He still has his armor on.
And what kind of weapons do these guys have?
Assault rifles. Okay. And like knives.
They're similar to the AR-4041s or whatever?
Yeah. That's what they use to attack Chians. And
okay.
Like I think it was old Earth AK-47s. Like
that's right. I remember that. Yeah, because Nux had to pick one up when he was fighting
Gorn before he got the armor. Yeah, and he was like, "What the fuck? This is like an antique."
And so from Nux's advantage right now, he's basically at a corner, but there's a hallway that leads one way, and then another room that leads to the door they all came from.
He's at the top of the stairs there, and he's in this little red hallway.
Oh, okay.
And to his left is that room up top, and then to his right is this other room.
Okay. And can I see what's happening in the other room, or do I have to move forward to do that?
I'll say with that third. Actually, yeah.
Oh, shit, I got 3.
You got 3, so that's enough to sneak up to the doorway to peek inside to see these two guys.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the guys is like laying on his bunk, staring up at the ceiling. He's taken all of his armor off. And the other guy is sitting at a table, also polishing a weapon, but he has removed all of his armor, unlike the other guy.
So basically, both rooms they're both like barrack rooms, and these guys they must be more specialized because they get to share a single room.
Well, the Void Guard, like the Void so the Void Monks are the ones that are like at the lowest of the totem pole, and they're the ones who have the mattresses that are just like laying on the floor in like a big open room. This is the fucking like the militant wing of their like fucking thing. So yeah, these guys get a little bit more stuff.
And do these guys have view of the floor below them, or is this a closed room?
This is a closed room. There's windows that look down over it, which would be these windows right here. But like nobody in this room can see into this room.
Okay. Oh, okay. I think I got an angle. Are the beds hollow? Are the beds underneath? Are they? Is there space underneath the beds? Like there's not like a bunch of shit under the bed.
Roll an observation for me. It's dark. It's red lighting. Everything's red lighting. So it's dark in here. And like Nux is still struggling to learn how to understand how to see through his alien visor because everything like pulses green. If you want to push it, you can.
Nope, I'm going to trust my gut. Okay, so Nux would like to move up behind this guard and as stealthily as possible, he wants to... The guard's bigger than him, right? Like a full-grown man?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So he stands behind the guard while the guard is... What is he doing, actually?
He's taking his boots off.
Oh, so he's actually indisposed. Okay, so he wants to move up behind the guard, and with an attack of opportunity, he wants to yank the guard down and choke him out. So with his fast action, he wants to attack the guard. With an attack of opportunity, he wants to take him down And I guess as like a follow up to this move, he wants to roll underneath the bed.
Roll a close combat for me. All right. So go ahead and describe how Nux chucks this dude out and then like rolls underneath the bed.
So as the guy is taking off his boots, he can see he's just a little bit unsteady on his feet, and in that exact moment, Nux stealthily Nux kind of like creeps, using the ambient sound in the room to mask his approach. And as he sees the soldier pick up his right leg to remove his boot, he basically just like pushes his left ankle and drops the guy. And as soon as he goes under, Nux just punches him with one swift, quick hit to the temple before he rolls under the bed.
And right as the guy like lays back on the bed, like it looks like he just like laid back on the bed because Nux hit him so fast. Right as the dude's head hits the pillow, the other void guard turns and looks, but it looks like the guy just like laid back. He doesn't see anything out of the ordinary. As Nux is underneath the bed and there is nothing blocking his way, and this guy doesn't see him at all. So he just goes back to cleaning his. He just goes back to cleaning his rifle.
And where this bed is in location of the other guy, can he like is he facing that bed, or did he look over at that bed?
He looked over his shoulder. He like looked to his left over his shoulder. He's facing. Great. He's facing this like this wall right here.
Awesome. So his back is. I got it.
So you're to his like back left.
Okay. So Nux, his heart is fucking racing right now, and he looks over at the other void guard, and he's just like he's like shaking his head almost because he's like I keep finding myself here. And as he's watching the guy with polishing the gun, he's like thinking, okay, so the gun safe. Nux is looking for anything that he might be able to throw as another distraction.
Okay, right in front of Nux, like right out underneath the bed, is the guy's loose shoe.
Oh, perfect. All right, so Nux wants to grab that and throw it into the hallway he came from.
Okay.
Oh, he's panicking like a psychopath.
I mean, this is a scary situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he hears it and he gets up. Well, it's not super loud because it's a shoe. So the guy does hear it and he kind of like looks over, but he can also sort of hear, and Nux can too, these two guys shuffling around in this other room as well. And like, so he just assumes that it's one of them. So one of these guys comes out and like sees the shoe, does nothing about it, and then like just he walks out and he sees the shoe and he just kind of kicks the shoe back into this room and then just goes and closes the door, and he like closes them now into this room so they're completely shut off. But yeah, it didn't do really much.
Okay, so yeah, Nux is fucking annoyed, but basically you're saying no matter what I have to cross in front of this guy to get out,
or you can take him out.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to let this guy see us. So wait, is he seated on a bed though?
He's seated on like a little bench at the end of his bed, like a little like chest, like a little wooden chest where his weapons and stuff are underneath him. He's seated on that, and then the gun that he's polishing is laid out on the bed in front of him.
Nux moves up behind him, or attempts to move up behind him by sneaking.
Roll a mobility plus, I would say 4.
Yeah, Nux just uses both his fast and slow action to chop down on the guy as hard as he can.
Okay. Yeah. So go ahead and describe how Nux just fucking like judo chops this dude to like knock him out.
Yeah, so when Nux gets up onto him, he's like taking in the armor, realizing the guy is much fucking bigger than he realized from far away, and he taps the guy's shoulder. And as the guy starts turning around, before he can realize what's going on, Nux just like slams his fist into the guy's temple and makes him collapse over the gun.
And he's just out like a light. Like, absolutely just... He didn't even have time to react. Like, he looked over his shoulder expecting to see his buddy and just immediately took a fucking platinum fist to the face.
So he stands up and he takes a look at the room, and he immediately goes to the guy on the bed, and he opens the locker in front of the chest, in front of the bed.
He sees an AK-47. He sees a knife. He sees the guy's chest plate armor. That's it.
Well, he'll pick up the knife, and he takes the knife and he disables the AK, and then the other gun on the bed is still disabled, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So upon doing that, he moves over to the entrance of the room to see what he can see.
At the top of the stairs, he's in the shadows, and he looks down, and he's able to see that, like, right at the entrance of the room, there's sort of a common area, and 4 of the Void Guard are sitting at this, like, larger table, and they're all enjoying they're all eating and drinking, and none of them are talking to each other. It's quiet.
And can he vault over this banister?
Roll a mobility for me. Yeah,
Yes.
Absolutely. The banister is just a waist, like a waist length railing, so he can easily pop over, which he does with no problem, into the shadows down here, and with the remaining mobility manages to sneak out past those guys without being seen.
He did it again, man. Oh man, and it was mostly nonviolent too. And judging by the way he treated those 2 Void Guards, people just being like, "Oh man, they passed out hard."
Yeah, they would have nobody would have any reason to believe that anybody knocked those guys out. So, like, 100%, none of these guys are going to raise the alarm. Like, he fully made it through a room with 15 dudes and did not get the alarm raised on him.
This is a new record, man. Like, because I thought you remember the first time he did pull off this shit was in the tunnels, and then the second time it's like, oh shit, he's got like 5 guards, and they just threw 15, and these are like probably the most hardcore people he's ever been in a room with.
It's because of the fucking suit, man. Like,
yeah.
He's got fucking, like, +5 mobility sneaking around here because he's all quiet and shit. Nux is able to sneak through the room undetected. He moves quietly and quickly, taking care to not make any noise. He's able to slip past the Void Guards as they remove their armor and weapons, and he continues his journey undetected and unchallenged. So, Nux steps out of the crew room victorious. The hallway ahead of him is dimly lit, utilitarian and metal. Looking down at the grating and the still organ pipes running below his feet, the scavenger has a pretty good idea that before the Hasteners had the ship, it was likely a PMAC Gale Torrent Class R. They're big ships, not as big and powerful as the Cranunculus, but Nux had traversed through enough of the destroyed vessels on Shinsen that he had a pretty good idea of their layout. From somewhere further ahead, he hears the sounds of footsteps echoing down the corridor. Moving cautiously, he opens a door to his left and enters a storage room. Inside, rows of shelves are filled with food supplies, and through the shelves he can see how many of those motherfuckers are there. There's 4 Void Monks patrolling the aisles, taking stock of their product. Each group is split into 2, and they're followed by a single armored and armed Void Guard. Unlike the Void Guard, Nux is aware that even though the monks have the tattoos on their foreheads, none of their eyes glow. Crouching, Nux puts his palm gently on the floor and the armor releases an invisible pulse. When he looks back through the room, he sees that through the door on the opposite end of the storage room, just as he expected, is the engine room. Inside the engine room, unless they've changed the layout of the ship, should be a ventilation duct that leads to the ship's brig, jail. What is Nux thinking and or feeling in this moment as he's made it this far?
As Nux rounds the corner stealthily, once he takes stock of the food stores, he has like a flashback to being on... Was it the Cranunculus with the food stores? No, that was the first ship?
No, Nux was only ever on the Cranunculus with the Reapers.
Yeah, so when we all escaped, when like the ship went down and Nux... Okay, so yeah, the food stores... So he has a flashback to that, and then that memory, he's like, okay, that's a good memory. And then he looks up to the top of the racks to see if he can get above everyone.
Roll a observation for me.
3 successes.
Okay, so Nux very easily sees that he can just basically like use the metal shelves to like climb up onto this second floor if he wants to.
Yeah, so Nux definitely wants to, and he tries to.
Roll that mobility for me.
Yeah. All right.
So, I mean, go ahead. As you get past this guy, you're able to then step out sort of over on top of the bookcases, looking down over this group, and can see.
Oh, I see. Okay,
where
I feel the space much better now.
where you can sort of see that there's a door on the opposite side of the storage room.
Yeah, never mind. So what's directly below Nux then?
There's like a staircase that basically like just leads further across the room, but like he would have to roll mobilities to like not be seen, or he could just make his way across the top of these things in complete silence because he's not making any noise.
Yeah. Okay, I definitely want to do that. I will stay out of sight and up.
With his training and advanced alien gear, he slips past the guards undetected, moving from shadow to shadow across the tops of the bookcases with a stealthy grace, making absolutely no noise. Finally, he reaches the door to the engine room and opens it with a soft hiss. With stealthy, soundless steps, Nux approaches the engine room, his mind focused on the children's whereabouts. As he reaches the entrance, he puts his hand against the door to pulse an image into his mind of what's beyond. 2 Void Monk technicians, each carrying a handgun, are at the far end of the room, huddled around a console, working frantically to fix a problem with one of the machines. The room is vast, with towering computers and blinking displays. Nux quickly scans the room, searching for any further sign of technicians. Directly next to the group, on the wall near the floor, is the ventilation duct that Nux needs to enter. So I don't have a fucking map for this fucking room. I forgot to fucking get one. So just imagine that these dudes are on the opposite side of the room from Nux. They don't know he's even there because you've stealthily made it this far. And they're like completely fucking focused on like... Here, I'll read this next part. It says, upon entering the room, Nux is bathed in a dim, purple glowing light. He's seen these kinds of engines before in the Badlands, but never one actively running. The glow is harmonic and draws the boy in. The Orpheus runs off of the volatile and dangerous Skrell vapor. Yeah,
so Nux has like a revelation that if these were better situations, he would be geeking out over what he can see. He's like looking around at fixtures and really high-tech, sophisticated machinery, and he's like, God, this would go for so much back on Jensen. And but the thought is fleeting, and he focuses on the vent ahead.
Okay. So how could he potentially get over there when they're standing right next to it?
So how loud is this room?
Pretty loud. Like the engine's definitely like whoa, 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 but like pretty loud. Like plus he's silent, so they wouldn't hear him anyways.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if there was a sound thing I could do, but they're focused on a console that's near the vent.
Directly next to it, on the wall, the same wall as the vent.
Oh, so the vent is oriented on a vertical wall. It's not like
not on the floor. No, it's on a wall, and it's like low down next to this console that they're working on.
Okay, so I guess Nux, upon seeing that, he's looking for something that he can find that may not be tied down.
Everything in this room is tied down. It's very utilitarian.
It's the engine, and Skrell vapor. Okay, are these guys wearing armor?
No, they're just the monks. They're just the
Oh, they're the monks.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Nux, feeling some sense of camaraderie for the monks, he snaps the knife in half, and he holds the handle. He like reaches for the pocket and then as he reaches to the suit, it like irises open and produces the knife, and he holds it in front of him, and then he like kneels down. And he holds the blade on his knee, and then with one quick snap motion, he cracks it in half.
That's awesome.
He just like instinctually moves the blade to his left side again, and then the suit irises open and accepts it, and then he takes the handle and he stealthily walks about half the distance between him and the monks.
Okay. And I will say there's a toolbox about 3 feet behind them on the floor, and it's open.
Oh, all right. So yeah, if all right. So I guess if I knew that,
it's immediately up behind them though. Like it's immediately up behind them.
It's like they could smell me close, or
yeah, it's literally yeah.
Basically, he makes his way half the distance through to the room. His intent is to cause a distraction that will allow him to get into the vent. But now he's going to work on a couple of different things. So does he make it halfway?
Roll a mobility +4.
2.
He does.
So their backs are completely facing Nux?
Their backs are both completely facing Nux. They're both like, one of them's got like a screwdriver and he's like tightening like a panel, and another guy's reading diagnostics and like typing something up. They have no idea that Nux is behind them. He's roughly about 8 feet behind them now. So there's about 5 feet between him and the toolbox, and 8 feet between him and these guys and the vent.
Okay, fuck it. Nux is going to try and move up behind them, and yeah, he wants to slam their heads together.
Okay, cool. Roll a close combat for me. Yep, keeps it together. And yeah, these guys are not wearing any armor or anything, so go ahead and describe how, with this help of the enhanced strength of this armor, because like it's very strong, he just completely like knocks these two dudes out.
Yeah, so Nux, knowing that they're monks and not guards, he feels like a sense of camaraderie that's higher than he does for the guards. But as he walks up, he takes a look through the tool. He looks over the toolbox as he like steps over it. And then as he's watching what they're doing, he's taking stock of like what they might be panicking about. And then he just grabs both of them by the back of their collar and just with like maybe a foot of distance, he slams them into each other almost like hyper speed. But cool. All right. So when they drop, is there anything he can glean from the interface as they were panicking?
Yeah, he reads that they were working on redirecting the power from the primary drive to the coolant system so the ship doesn't have a meltdown.
Nux kind of like,
it's succeeded. They're done. They had finished.
So like it's clear.
Yeah,
so,
they had just finished. It goes like ding, adjustment to the flow rate of scroll vapor complete, redirecting power. Like it so he sees that like the thing comes up. Like he literally knocked them out like right after the dude hit enter.
Yeah, and he's sighing, he's like sweating underneath the suit and like feeling that the suit like warms up his sweat. It's like, yep. Oh, that's so cool. All right, so he takes a look at anything they might have on them in the toolbox just to see if there's anything of value.
There's an electric tool thing that he could use to get in. Like they have swipe cards to the ship that they have, but otherwise, just sort of regular type heavy machinery, like mechanics gear.
Yeah, all right. So he's going to take a couple of the ID cards. I mean, they're 2 swipe cards, and then I guess this electro tool, and he's going to enter that vent.
So as Nux opens the ventilation duct on the lower level and drops into the open hallway, he notices something strange. The door to the brig is missing completely. As he approaches, he sees that the walls and floor of the room has been retrofitted to accommodate the sacred artifacts and symbols of the order. The bolted steel doors and heavy locks, now replaced by curtains of incense and chanting monks, speak to a different purpose. Nux stops in his tracks, his mind racing. They must have needed more space, more room to hold the prisoners they'd captured. This brig is too small for what they're doing now. As he cautiously reaches the doorway, he's immediately struck by the intense and suffocating scent that fills the air. The chamber is a sprawling labyrinth of black and white tiled floors with walls adorned in intricate void iconography. The walls twist and turn, forming a labyrinthine maze on the walls that seem to lead towards a central altar. At the heart of the chamber, Nux sees a massive statue of a black hole, followed by 3 furthers stretching around the room. It's surrounded by a sea of chanting monks, all adorned in their flowing black robes.
Looks pretty sweet.
Yeah, it still looks pretty cool. The chamber is bathed in an eerie, otherworldly light, and Nux feels like he's stepped into another realm. The chanting of the monks grows louder and more frenzied, and the air is thick. The void monks clutch ceremonial chalices filled to the brim with a shimmering, prismatic liquid that sparkles and shines with a pearlescent glow. Their eyes are all fixed on the statues, lost in their fervent prayers. He'd been so anxious and focused making his way through the ship that it took the boy a moment to realize that the monks were chanting a hymn he knew well, a hymn that had soothed him as a child after his parents had left. Keeper Seif used to sing it to him. The soothing words of all things come to an end filter into Nux's mind, and the boy's lips move to join in habit. All things come to an end. In the void they forever blend, where the night will never end, and the darkness is our friend. We sing of the glorious state, of nothingness, of fate. In the emptiness we'll find peace, allowing pain and strife to cease. All things must come to an end. In the void they forever blend. We'll sing of the glory of the night, as we bask in darkness, the lack of light. How is Nux feeling right now, knowing that something that to him has brought solace many, many, many nights after the disappearance of his parents, but to these people clearly carries a much deeper and darker meaning?
He's mostly impressed that it can be interpreted so many different ways, because in his interpretation there's peace, but in their interpretation he feels like they're only seeking death, and it sends shivers up his spine.
So what is he thinking or doing right now? He does not have to enter this room. He's in a hallway, so he sees that this is where the brick was. He can look left and right, and there's things in each direction, or he can go in here and try to fuck people up. It's your call.
Right now he's trying to understand whether or not that biological threat that they released on Shensen is in this room or not.
Oh, he does not see any Amber squids, Amber sapiens, Amber goblins, Amber sharks, nothing. It's all just people.
So yeah, in feeling the chill, he kind of thinks because when they say it all blends, he's picturing the monstrosities, and it makes him shudder in a way that he didn't anticipate, because to him the void is a place of calm and peace, but to them the void is clearly something he alien to him, and he moves on.
Does he head left towards the hydroponic garden room, or does he head right, which is the staircase down to another level?
Yeah, so can he do a pulse to see which area has the least amount of people in it?
The pulse doesn't go far enough to go downstairs, but he would have to get... The pulse is like a generalized thing, so it's not like scanning...
Like 10 yards or something?
Yeah, it's not doing through the whole ship.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
If he walks closer and gets... there's a window that would allow him to look into the hydroponic garden.
Okay, yeah, so Nux is going to exhaust his options on this floor first.
Okay. So when he walks up to that window, I assume crouched.
Yep. Stealth as fuck.
And there's still bright red fluorescent lights illuminating the various plants and trees that are grown inside. And these are not warning lights. This is just how these people live.
Yep.
The garden spans across 4 rows. I do have a map for this. The plants tower overhead, leaves stretching towards the ceiling, reaching out to absorb the light and grow. The garden is different from the one in the Cranunculus, smaller and less diverse plant life. Nevertheless, it serves its purpose, providing the order with a constant supply of oxygen, crucial for their survival in the vastness of space. Nux watches as a sole black-robed gardener works diligently to prune and water the plants, admiring their persistence and dedication. Roll observation.
Yep. 2 success.
At first it appears as a peaceful and lush haven, with the dark leaves and delicate blooms, but as Nux gazes into the dark red room for a longer time, he begins to notice that some of the plants are not like the others. There are fly traps with their wickedly sharp jaws ready to snap shut on any suspecting insects or creatures. He spots several species of plants that are known for their poisonous properties, such as belladonna and nightshade, plants introduced to him by Karina during one of their walks through the High Garden with Ketch and Laszlo. As he looks even more closely, he notices the leaves of the mandrake plant, which are rumored to scream when they're pulled from the earth. Nux shudders, realizing that he's looking at a garden that's more dangerous than it is beautiful. He takes a step back from the window. Does Nux think at all about the irony that this group is trying to destroy life, but that they need to actively grow it to sustain their long trips in space?
Yeah, it almost seems like their form of life though seems like they've chosen a form of violent life. So that doesn't seem to him incongruous. I think if he failed that observation role, he would have been like the irony.
Yeah.
But he like realizing what they're actually growing. He's like these fuckers.
Does he?
Like
Go ahead.
the end doesn't have to be about suffering to Nux. Like it could be a place of peace, but he doesn't see it that way anymore. In fact, being this I guess this close to another ideology that he doesn't ascribe to is really giving him. It's starting to form a pit of doubt in his heart.
Okay. And as he's looking through the windows into the garden, does he head into the room to take out the void monk, or does he leave the guy?
What is he seeing on the other side of the garden? Is there any indication where this leads?
Just windows looking out into space.
Oh, so this is at the hull. Okay. Yeah. So Nux does not feel like he needs to engage with this, and he. What can he see down the hallway?
No,
Or is this the last room?
this is the last room. It's
Okay.
it's the ritual room and this room and then a staircase.
Okay. So he heads for the staircase, leaving the monk to his grisly tasks.
All right. So as Nux cautiously descends the staircase, he's enveloped by the dreary aura of crypts. He knows that the third deck of a ship like this should contain the cafeteria, which is usually an open, sprawling room filled with metal tables. These crypts instead smell of decay. Incense fills the air, and as he ventures deeper, his senses are bombarded with the eerie and macabre ambience. The walls are adorned with void iconography, and an otherworldly opalescent crystalline dust crackles along the edges of the room, illuminating the otherwise dimly lit chamber with a ghostly, iridescent glow. The chanting of the cult can be heard echoing in the distance, growing louder and more intense with each step that Nux takes. The remains of many of the cult's previous enemies surround him, mummified into a maze of bones and flesh. As he passes through it, he sees the names printed in black across each chest: Coldbane, Revolt, Squire, Hardesty, Zedek. Nux can feel the presence of death and the void closing in around him, suffocating him with his dark embrace. The walls seem to shift and contort in unnatural ways as if they're alive, reaching out to grab and pull him into their grasp. A cold sweat beads on his brow as he moves through the crypt, each creaking bone and groaning mummified body making his anxiety spark, +2 stress. For a moment, he's sure he can hear the whispers of the departed souls begging for release from their never-ending torment. Roll a survival. Suddenly, a series of strange symbols and characters begin to flash along the inside of Nux's helmet. The symbols and characters are not of any language that Nux is familiar with. Despite not being able to understand the message, he suddenly feels a surge of energy coursing through his veins. His heart rate slows, his breathing becomes more steady, his frayed nerves settle. The crypts seem to stretch on for eternity, and the farther he travels through the room, the more he begins to see skeletons in the walls, their faces frozen in terror. The sight of the poorly mummified bodies sends a chill down Nux's spine as he wonders how many people have suffered at the hands of this cult. What is he thinking and or feeling in this moment, and how does this reframe his childhood?
Nux is, upon seeing all these corpses, knowing the rigors of space travel, he's really trying to understand the intent of harvesting these people from where they come from, and then he's like thinking about the monstrosities he saw in Shensen. He's thinking about his engagements with these biological weapons with the Reapers, and it's making him realize that their way of hastening the end, or hastening the journey to the divine void is about this, and he thinks that these people might be stock, and that they're building something off of them, but he's almost kind of seen worse in people being alive and torn apart rather than being in this state in sort of a permanent macabre museum. But his childlike perception of the unhurried is like make peace and make love with who you have while you have them, because it'll all end eventually, but we're in no rush to get there. And then seeing the antithesis of that under the same framework of the church that he's in is really disconcerting, because he didn't expect this, he didn't understand it, and now being faced with it, he understands it almost less. It maybe makes him even more of an unhurried as a result of this. But he's still his doubts are forming, they're growing.
Yeah, I mean, he was a hastener his whole childhood, and then after Sabrina and everything that's happened since, he's just been getting more pushed towards the unhurried.
Yeah, and I mean, even his own pacifism, and these people are violent, and I mean, basically, it's like walking through a Nazi death camp, right?
It's terrifying. He's walking through hell right now.
He's still choosing not to kill them, and like that's kind of the tale. That's the tale at the end of all of this.
Finally, Nux reaches the center of the crypts, where he stops in his tracks, overwhelmed and in awe as he gazes upon the magnificent void statue that towers before him. The statue is of a massive black hole, far larger and more detailed than the ones in the ritual room. Its surface is polished to a mirror-like finish, reflecting Nux's armored face back in the eerie glow of the crystalline dust that coats the walls of the crypt. The statue is intricately carved, depicting the swirling maw of the black hole and the stars that orbit its event horizon. At the base of the statue, an altar is set, surrounded by incense. Nux can't help but feel a sense of reverence as he approaches the statue, his armor clinking silently across the tiled floor. The void looms over him like a giant. Nux gazes into his own distorted reflection, feeling a strange pull towards the infinite. Either he reaches out his hand, or the armor does for him. He's not sure. His fingers trace along the contours of the statue. As he touches it, a flash of energy surges through him, and for the briefest moments, he feels a connection to something greater than himself. The chanting of the cult comes throughout the crypts from a nearby open doorway. The chanting is a solemn hymn, another that Nux recognizes growing up from the orphanage. This song pays homage to the void and the power it holds over all things. What does Nux say and or do?
So, what did you say shows him the power of all things?
That's the homage, the song that they're singing, the hymn.
Oh, they're still singing the same song. Okay, so it's like multiple.
It's
stanzas,
a different song.
Okay, and in terms of so what's the statue shape? It's just a big void, a circle.
It's this thing.
And so Nux touched the pit of black, basically.
It's all solid.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But it's like floating in perfect space kind of thing.
No, it's connected. It's nothing. It's not like a super item or anything. It's just
so
like
it's essentially 2D then. It's not like he can't walk around it.
He can walk around it. It's just that like the black hole is like suspended within light. But like it's like the light is solid. It's all solid. Like it's just connected.
Okay.
Like it's not a magic item. It's not.
Yeah. So as he touches it, he's feeling. He's trying to understand what he's experiencing, because he realizes that the suit knows more about the universe than he does, and in a way, he's almost like stricken by the awe of that, but then also trying to understand what the fuck his parents knew. And so, do the crypts lead in all four directions to this point?
No, the crypts only lead. It was a maze to get you here, and then from here it leads into a room that you're unaware of, and you can hear chanting coming from inside.
Okay. Okay. So upon touching his hand to this, when he tries to retract it, does he feel like a magnetic pull from the suit, or does the suit just allow him in his own time?
No, nothing happens at all. He just removes his hand.
Okay. So he kind of like looks at it and wait. So is this considered an artifact, or is this just a place of reverence?
It's just a place of reverence. There's absolutely nothing special about this thing. It's just pretty.
Okay. So he pulls his hand down and he takes a look at where he came from in the crypt, and then looks beyond that to understand what rooms may lie ahead.
When he walks up to the next, or when he makes his way across the room, because there's nobody else here, up to the next room, he hears the sound of the chanting growing louder, and he puts his palm up to the thing and does like the pulse into it, and he sees that like there's basically a dungeon, and the first thing that he sees are the silhouettes of just like a whole bunch of people's bodies in cells, and that they are being patrolled by soldiers, and the void monks are like in there chanting to these people.
Does he? And that's the only path forward.
That's where you're trying to go. I mean, that's where the people are.
All right. So yeah, Nux, upon taking a look at that, he's starting to remember, the whole reason he chased down this ship in the first place, and he's just like, time to find him. And then he moves into the next room. Because in a way, he was basically just in survival mode this whole time, and now that he's in a relative point of safety, he can remember his mission.
The walls are slick with moisture, and the air is heavy with the scent of decay and fear. As Nux rounds the corner into the dungeon, the first thing he notices is the palpable sense of dread and hopelessness that permeates the air. The prisoners are in their cells, huddled together, their clothes ragged and war-torn. The Chiensin locals cry, shout, and stare off into the nothingness with haunted expressions, evidence of their suffering and abuse at the hands of the void wraiths. These hulking, hooded figures stand guard over the cells, weapons glinting in the flickering red light. Their crude, homemade clubs and blades serve as a clear reminder of the brutality that is inflicted upon those who dare to defy the Hasteners. A group of void monks stands between the cells, their voices a mournful chorus only serves to heighten the sense of unease and foreboding. The metal walls of the dungeon seem to close in on Nux, threatening to crush him under the weight of the oppressive atmosphere. So what is Nux thinking right now, and what is his plan?
So it seems like there's a really high density. This is high density all over the place. There's just people everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like this is actually the point, almost in a way, and like this is why everyone is concentrated here. Is that like the feel?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what's his position in relation to all of these people? Is he at eye level, below eye level, above them? Like
eye level, but nobody's seen him yet.
Mm-hmm. So no one expects anyone to come from where he just came from, basically.
No, there's no reason. He's successfully made it here stealthily so far.
Okay, so I mean, he's definitely going to maintain his level of stealth, and his pulse is only relative, right? It just kind of shows him blips, but they're not like accurate blips, right? Like he can kind of tell that there's people in every cell. How many cells are there? Are there a fuck ton or just a few?
There's like 6 cells on each wall.
Oh, that's not that many.
Each cell has like 100 people in it.
Oh, okay, so they're pretty big. And each of the cells has security detail and monks.
In the hallway between the cells, there's void wraiths and monks.
And is how many people, or is it? Can you gauge?
I would say that it's 3 void wraiths and then 6 monks, 1 for each cell.
Void guards or wraiths?
Guards.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's void monks with 6 void monks and 3 void guards.
Okay, so the guards are basically just watching over the monks. Got it.
Yeah.
And can Nux tell if there's a way up into scaffolding or anything, vents, anything like that?
There is, but it's way high above his head.
Oh shit. Okay. And who's facing who?
All the monks are facing into the cages.
Yep. And the guards, are they watching the monks, or are they like looking on either side?
They're just looking around.
All right.
At all the prisoners, keeping an eye on the prisoners, making sure nobody's like plotting.
Okay, Nux moves up to a void monk, and he just kind of like he wants to walk up to the void monk and like get an impression of what he's doing, and then he wants to look into the prison cell until the void monk realizes that he's there.
He just sees a bunch of people sitting around. Like a couple of them see him and his glowing eyes, and like they kind of scuttle backwards, afraid of him. But like nobody really does anything because they're not trying to draw the attention of whatever the fuck you are. And when one of the void monks eventually like turns and hesitates, all of a sudden like he points at Nux, and then he makes this like really like creepy like oh, and like all the other fucking monks and void wraiths just turn and like look at him.
Okay, and Nux, hopefully that this is still an attack of opportunity, considering this was his intent. He wants to grab that monk and point him at everyone else.
Okay, yeah, I mean the monk does nothing to try to stop it.
And then Nux just like looks at the guards, and he kind of points in the opposite direction, and he speaks through the mask and just says, "Go."
One of the guards shoots the monk that you're holding in the head.
And Nux is just like, okay. So at this point, are we doing initiative or?
Yeah, I would say so, because that dude's dead.
Did you see that?
Hold on, I haven't even looked yet. I see it as a 10, yes.
Yep, okay, just making sure.
All right. Nux's turn. What does he do?
Nux, with his fast action, sprints at the guard, and he, with a knife hand, his slow action, he wants to put it through the guard's throat.
Do it.
And that's close combat?
He's got it in his weapons.
Oh, what is it called? Oh, the alien armor blade. Got it. Okay. All right.
Whew. Yeah. All right. Roll them panics. So he keeps it together. And let me roll this guy's armor. He deflects the blade. Yeah, like Nux runs up to him and strikes at this guy and deflects the blade. But
okay.
if you'll remember, I said that Nux, when he's wearing his armor, gets 2 attacks because he's so fast.
Okay, so Nux, upon missing the armor, he realizes that he kind of like crunches his teeth because he's like it's been a minute because he's kind of like lost bearings on the amplification effect that the suit has on him. And as soon as he glances off of it, he spins around and pulls his left hand forward with the blade to slash across the guy's throat again.
Okay, do it.
And close combat. 3 successes.
Fuck yeah, dude. He blocks 2 of them, but you do 3 damage to him and he goes down. He's not dead, but he's wounded. These other 2 guys fire their assault rifles at Nux.
Oh, they all have the same turn?
Yes.
Okay.
And did they get any successes?
I see 2 successes for Void Guard 2.
Okay, but you got 3 successes for... Wait, did you roll your armor?
Oh, no, I haven't rolled armor.
Roll your armor. All right, so yeah. Nux takes 4 damage.
All right, so so he's on top of this other one's body. That guy's not dead though.
He has some hit points left. This guy down on the ground. You did enough to put him down, to like knock him down, but he doesn't have a turn right now. But like he still has hit points. So if you don't take him out, he's gonna get back up.
These guards only have the one weapon or no?
No, they have another weapon as well.
Oh, okay. All right, Nux, since he dropped with the guy and he just took 2 damage, he's not feeling as gracious as he was a second ago, and he slams his foot down in the guy's skull.
All right, roll a close combat for me.
And with his slow action, he's gonna feel. What he wants to do is try and understand if he can manifest a shield.
Nux does kick down hard enough on this void wraith that it knocks him out.
Okay. And then, his slow action, he's basically trying to move into a defensive posture.
Okay. And when he thinks about the shield, roll a contact for me.
2 success.
Yeah. So, like, he feels the skin-tight armor around him sort of just suddenly, like, bulk up and thicken. And, like, he sees that, like, it sort of expands out a little bit, like, providing a little bit more armor.
Okay. And
what's his armor right now?
His armor is at 10.
Well, now it's at 12. Oh, no. So his armor should go down 2 points before his hit points go down any. That's how.
Oh, yeah. So I didn't lose any hit points.
You didn't lose any hit points. You just lost 2 armor.
Got it. So it would be back at 10 now.
Yes.
Cool.
So you shouldn't feel so bad. That was another reason why, like, I was like, you shouldn't feel bad.
I was playing it really safe.
Like, I
just don't want to create. I don't want to meet Voltaire again until I'm ready to.
That armor though, I mean, that's like 10 hit points on top of your hit points. Like.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. So we're back to a good position now. So yeah, his suit bulks up and he kind of like stands there, and then
like a bunch of little spikes come out. Like when it bulks up, like a bunch of little like spikes come out of his shoulder, spikes come out of his fucking like knuckles. Like it just like spikes up, like the suit like goes into like a secondary like stage where it's like.
And yeah, so like as soon as he slams his foot into this guy's head, he moves his face from looking down at the guy to the other guards, and then he just bolts up and has these spikes all over him, and then his eyes are just like radiating, and he's just like, all right.
They turn, the glowing eyes turn from yellow to red.
There we go. And I'm sure they don't give a shit.
They don't. They immediately, because they just saw you like stomp their dude, so they're like, fuck it, so they open fire. But like he just fucking like went like Super Saiyan, so it's like whatever.
Okay. All right. So yeah, he just jabs it in the back of the guy's head. He got 2 successes, 1 panic, and here comes the panic. Wow.
Okay.
Nux is powerful with panics, man.
All right. Yeah. So go ahead and describe how Nux kills this guy.
So Nux, after glancing off the armor, he's just like, "Fuck, still don't got it." And then as soon as he stops, he turns around and so he does that with his right arm, and he slips through the right shin. And as soon as it glances off, it actually tilts him, and he starts turning in the other direction. So before he actually settles, he just jabs with his left hand right into the back of the guy's neck.
Okay. And as that guy goes down, this guy actually like gets startled and like takes a step back, and then fires at Nux. So he's gonna do his thing.
Yeah, dude. Armor got a 0 again. And he missed anyway. So
okay, so it's now Nux's turn.
Nux walks up to the Void Guard. He like with his slow action, he like walks up to him and he grabs the Void Guard's weapon and he just stares at him.
Roll a I guess it would be close combat because we've actually done this before. Roll a close combat to like rip it out of his hands if that's what he's gonna do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. 5 successes? Holy shit. Okay, so he keeps it together. Go ahead and describe how Nux not only rips the gun out of this guy's hands, but I assume like beats him with it.
Yeah, so Nux, upon grabbing the weapon and realizing that he's completely outmatched this guy. So this is just the same kind of Void Guard that he saw in the crew quarters?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But there was 15 of them.
Yeah. I'm just saying he's like a normal looking dude. Like nothing's.
Well, he's
like,
got his helmet on. This guy's fully helmeted up and everything.
Yeah, so he pulls off the guy's helmet with his first stunt, and then he pushes the guy up against the bars.
When he pulls the guy's helmet off, he sees that he has the void tattoo on the middle of his forehead, just like all the other guys, and his eyes glow with like a dim red.
Yeah, so upon pulling the weapon from him, removing the mask, he pushes the guy into a cell or towards a cell that has the most prisoners on it, and he waits to see what they do.
They definitely like try to like grab at the guy's body and like pull on him and stuff.
Okay.
But I mean, like they can't pull him through.
That's not the intent. And then he sits there and he takes a step back and he. So can he tell if these guys are sentient or not?
In what way?
In the way that they exist with their own personalities and souls and all that.
I mean, he hasn't done anything to try
No,
to.
but you know, when we were in the crew quarters, like, did they all seem like they actually talk to each other, or were they?
No, he hasn't heard any of them speak.
Okay, so they're actually all psychopaths. And then he kind of like as the prisoners grab him, what does the guy do?
He definitely fights back. Like
Okay.
he turns and sort of like starts pushing hands and like breaking fingers and like,
Oh fuck! All right, so then as soon as Nux starts to see that there's no humanity in him, he pushes his head through the bars.
oh my god, and like everyone in that cell is just like, oh, because like Nux literally pushes the guy's head through the
Yeah,
bars, and it's just like blood splatter gore like through it like onto a bunch of people, and like they're all
yeah,
just like, oh god, ah, ah. And it just
and
kind
then
of like
yeah,
falls into a silence. Is like there's about 100 people staring at him in his like fucking bulked up like badass state, like just kind of in the middle of this bloodbath of fucking dead void guards in the center of hallway of where they've been captured.
okay. So are we out of initiative?
We are out of initiative. You can now scan for the children.
All right. So Nux, upon doing this, he releases the helmet for a split second and goes. He just like says calmly and succinctly, "I'm not with them," and then he begins to scan.
Okay. So as the helmet comes down, definitely Nux tastes that the air is like sweet. There's this
Uh
like
oh.
weird, like kind of like sweet, sugary taste in the air, and he immediately inhales it and breathes it in. But the mask closes back around his face after he says that. And once a bunch of people sort of see that he's a human being, that he's not so much a like alien or a monster. Also, does he remain in his bulked up state, or does he descend back down to like regular state?
I think once he identifies that the main threat is gone, because the suit has repair properties, right? It
It
saves you
does, yeah.
between.
By the time we get into our next fight, it's gonna be full armor again. 10.
Yeah. So upon basically, he's trying to make himself appear less menacing to them, but can he do that while also maintaining Overwatch or no?
Uh, I think you can conversate within Overwatch. I'm
All
pretty
right.
sure.
So I would say he drops the second layer of armor and enters Overwatch, and then he starts scanning, and we're looking for is it Eli or
It's you saved Eli on Shinsen.
yeah, yeah. So it's
It's
Eddie working for
it's
it.
Edward and Eric, and
Okay.
it's also like a whole bunch of the other orphans as well, because like they just janked a whole group of
Yeah,
kids
yeah.
from the
And they
orphanage.
bodied the whole orphanage. Okay.
Yep. And then
Yeah.
there's just
So
people everywhere as well. So go ahead and roll your observation for me.
yeah. All right. So after he says, "I'm not with them," the suit's like, "Hey, man, this air fucking sucks," and it puts it back on.
Yep.
And then he rolls five
Dude,
successes.
crushing it. Okay, so when he puts it back on and like scans it, he sees that they're recognized. Eric and Edward biosigns are among the prisoners, and they're huddled in the corner of the last cell on the left with 16 other void orphans.
All right. So, and I mean,
So
since
I'm
I
gonna
got
put
five
them.
successes, does Nux understand the mechanism for how to open these things?
Oh, he can just fucking rip the door off.
All right. So, Nux basically starts. He goes, "Everyone back," and he tells everyone to get back away from the bars.
All of the people inside the bars just back up. They all just get away from the bar.
And then Nux, he'll just. All right. So there's six. There's six of them.
There's 16 orphans, but there's
Oh
like
no, I mean the cells.
there's six cells. Yes.
And he goes. He basically, as soon as they get back, he just walks up to the first bar and he just like holds it, and then they almost like aren't sure what he's doing because he doesn't seem to be ripping it, and then he sprints forward as he rips one off, and then he spins. So his right hand's on one cell, his left hand rips out the next cell. He drops it, and he does the same thing all over the. He basically just uses super speed to rip one out with each arm.
So he takes out two cell doors.
Well, I'm just saying, like he's doing the whole hallway, and he's
Oh,
going
okay.
like
He does all six of them.
yeah, he
Okay.
just does all six at a time, and
Beautiful.
and then he's just trying to rip them out in that spinning motion
He
that
does
he
it.
started on Shinsen, and he's just like rip, rip.
So as Nux enters the cell where the kids are, he's met with a chorus of gasps, cries of terror. The kids, huddled inside, are still clearly frightened by Nux's imposing figure, with his glowing eyes and intimidating helmet. None of them could see for that brief moment when he dropped his helmet in the hallway because they were being all blocked by adults. So as he approaches the group of kids, what does he say and or do?
He kind of, as he sees them, there's like a softness in his like physical mannerisms, and then he irises the top of the mask down, so that they can see his eyes, but his mouth is still covered. And he goes, "I can't believe I found you."
And one of them, Eric, steps forward, like squints his eyes in the dark red light, and he goes, "Who? Nux? What happened to you?"
And he just kind of like he kind of like leans in to him, and he just hugs Eric, and he's just like, "It doesn't matter what happened to me. We're gonna get you out of here."
And at the same time, like first off, when everybody sees that you kneel down and like hug one of these kids, there's this like palpable like relaxation that like sort of crosses through the room through like a lot of the adults. Like, okay, this guy's not going to attack us. He just ripped our cell doors off and he's now hugging a child. So Edward definitely rushes forward and like throws his arms around you, and he's like, "Did you come here to save us?"
And then Nux, like basking for a fucking split second, has an image of Voltaire appear in his mind's eye, and he just kind of like shoots up, and he goes, "Is everyone here from Jensen?"
And one of the adult prisoners in the cell next to the children steps up to the grating, and he's like this tall, gaunt kind of guy. He's wearing the tattered appearance, or despite the tattered appearance of his clothes, it's clear that he's a Gallipol marshal. He goes, "I'm a pilot. Everyone here in my cell is from Chanson," and like everyone kind of like starts sounding out like, "Look around. Like, do you see anyone you don't recognize?" And like everyone's kind of like, really kind of like, and everything seems solid. There's no alarms being raised. Roll an observation for me.
You got it, buddy. 1 success.
Yeah, no, there's no rats in the hen house. Everyone is chintz and local. Like everyone's face is dirty and smudgy, and like they've got the dust on their clothes. Nux recognizes them all to be the people that he grew up with.
Great.
And that pilot, the marshal, he looks at Nux and he goes, "If you can get me to the bridge, I can probably get us back to Chanson."
And Nux kind of like takes stock. And he's like looking among them. And did the orphans have someone who seems to have come with them and is like taking care of them?
No, not really.
So it's just like kids all freeform?
Yeah.
Okay, so Nux like calls out to the crowd, and he's just like, "Listen, we don't have much time here. I don't know what reinforcements they're calling, but," and he just kind of like looks around. And he's just like, "We have to keep these kids safe. Who can step up?"
And there's this like old man who like kind of like makes his way through the crowd, and he's like, "Listen, son, these beasts took everything from us. I'm not about to let it slip away. I'll watch the kids. Who else is with me?" And then like a whole bunch of the adults sort of like start like gathering together, and he looks back at Nux and he goes, "But we need a place to hide. Gather our strength, plan our next move. If you're out there doing something, we can't just fight back. There's 3 guns here," and like Nux sees that like already like
they already armored up.
3 people have like already like sort of armored and gunned up. Like they're like stripping the armor off of those guys, but there's like 100 people here, and so he's so like where he looks at Nux and he goes, "I mean, what do you know about the ship? Is there anywhere good we can hide?" And like
and Nux just kind of immediately goes back to the crypt, and he's just like, "Yep." Because they can defend it from all sides on that one. Yep. And he's like, "Listen, where I just came from." And then he's like looking through the hallway, realizing how fucking grim this place looks, just everything fucking red and awful. And he's just like, "Look, through those doors," and he like steps out of the hall and like points. And he's like, "Through those doors is a crypt. You can defend from all sides on that. Make sure you take as much armor as you can. And I'm going to go try and get control of this ship."
And the old man nods and he goes, "We'll hold the fort there. Good luck. Give them hell."
And then can Nux tell if there's any? Nux wants to search one of the bodies to see if one of the guards to see if there's any communications that they have, or are they just all organic?
There's communications like attached into their helmets.
Okay.
No, it's just attached into their helmets.
And in terms of that, if he rolls a contact, can he see if he can create a safe channel for them? Like if one person from Nux's crew and them had a helmet.
No, I don't think he knows their technology well enough.
Okay, all right. So he kind of looks at the helmet of one of the guards, and once he realizes he can't do anything with it, he crushes it, and he goes. He looks at them and he's like, "I'll be back when I can." And then he kind of looks at the pilot, and he's like,
he reaches his hand out and he's like, "Captain Callan."
And then Nux kind of takes it on instinct, not expecting the handshake. And he goes, "I think you have to stay with them until I find out where the bridge is."
He's like, "All right, I will."
He's like, "Captain Callan, it's on you. Don't let anyone get hurt."
And he takes one of the AKs and just racks it give him hell.
I intend to. And he just walks off.
So as Nux moves further through the dimly lit claustrophobic halls of the ship, his footsteps echo in silent emptiness. Finally, he arrives to the double bulkhead doors to the bridge's control room, and his nerves are on edge. When Nux presses his palm against the door to scan the room, an image is projected before his eyes of a massive dark chamber filled with the hum of engines and flickering lights. At the center of the room is a static, crackling energy. What is Nux thinking at this moment?
Nux, knowing that all humans register a certain way, he just kind of looks at it, and he didn't have the suit when he was. Wait, he did have the suit when he was fighting Gorn, right?
Yes.
And what was Gorn's energy signature?
Just normal.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay. And while he was wearing the suit around Voltaire, did he notice anything?
Well, he wasn't scanning when he.
Right. But does the suit read this signature in a similar way to
there was lettering that appeared on his mask that he hasn't seen since the last time he saw Voltaire.
Okay. Oh, there is that lettering does appear again.
Yes.
Or at least he can feel it. Some sense of it says that this is what he thought he saw.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And is there any indication of where the other monks went?
They've scattered.
So they just split to win.
The monks aren't the fighters.
Yeah. I was just curious, where did they go, and did they pass through here?
Yeah, I'm sure that they did.
And so this is the bridge that he's sensing through right now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so Nux, upon realizing where he is and seeing what he does think he sees, he kind of takes a step back, because he knows what he tried last time didn't work. So he takes a look at the hallway to see if there's another point of entry possibly.
Okay, roll an observation for me.
2 success.
He does see a vent that leads into the room.
He moves into the vent.
All right. Roll a mobility for me.
2.
Yep. Okay. So it takes him a couple minutes, but he sees that the room is empty. The massive control room is empty, and Voltaire stands at the piloting controls, staring out a massive window looking out into the stars beyond. And the ethereal mist that flutters through all of the ship rushes off of his shoulders, filling the room at knee height with opalescent swirling colors of glimmering, shimmering powder. It pours off at a steady pace from his shoulders, who stands with his back to Nux. Voltaire's outfit is an imposing sight to behold, with his black and crimson robes draped over his armored form. The robes ripple and billow, as if they're alive with an energy of their own. The armor underneath is jagged and adorned with symbols and runes that seem to glow with a malevolent energy. The centerpiece of his attire is a reflective red skull helmet that he wears, which seems to almost gleam with a sinister light, casting an ominous shadow. That's what he sees.
Nux, upon seeing the vapor and realizing that it's actually fucking coming from him, he tries to will the suit to tell him anything it can about the vapor.
Roll a comtech for me.
Come on, alien suit. 2 successes, 1 panic.
All right, so he keeps it together. But when he has no idea what the words say, but they're red.
Oh god. So it's just like fucking massive alarm. Okay, so what's Nux's position relative to Voltaire? Like, is he directly above? Is he like a couple yards away? Like,
Nah, he's probably about like 20, 30.
He's pretty far away.
Yeah, 20, 30 feet behind, like looking down from.
And this is the only vent into the space. That's the last one he's looking through.
That's
right now?
connected to the. This is the only vent that's connected to this vent. There's other vents here.
Yeah. So Nux just kicks the fucking vent out, and he drops from the ceiling, and he goes, "Brother, a word."
And as Nux says that, he like lands in the cloud of the mist, and he says, "Brother, a word." But then there's this like feeling of fatigue that like comes over him, and it's like quickly coming over him. He struggles to stay standing, but his knees give out, and he crashes to the ground into the mist. His vision blurs, and the room starts to spin. He looks up to see Void Wraith Voltaire standing over him, the opalescent mist flowing around him in a hypnotic dance. And he turns around and he goes, "So you did breathe in the mist. Good. Every time you get onto my ship, little voidling, it leaves me less prepared for what's to come. Fine. If this is what it is to be, then it is what it is to be."
Yeah, like Nux, as he hears Voltaire say this, he doesn't even know where this fucking comes from. He's trying to like form words, but he can't, and so he kind of like falls on his back, and he does the symbol of the void, but in the opposite direction, and then he passes out.
Okay, well, I was gonna let you roll
Oh, wait, for initiative? What's going on?
to pass out.
Oh, to stay awake or not?
Roll a survival -8.
I got 1 success, 1 panic.
Okay.
Oh, it rolled 2 panics, but the first one counts.
Nux can feel the heavy weight of Voltaire's control bearing down on him, threatening to take hold of his mind and make him a slave to the void's will. But then the alien suit starts to pulse with energy, throbbing in time with Nux's heart. A wave of strength and power flows through his limbs, breaking through the grasp of Voltaire's control. For now, the darkness of the room is suddenly shattered by the sound of metal clanging against the grated floor. From the doorway behind Nux, it like opens, and like all of the mist like starts draining out into the hallway and the rest of the ship. A figure slowly emerges, the silhouette of a tall and imposing figure with a broad and powerful build. This is Void Wraith Cage.
How tall are these guys? Or are they different heights?
Voltaire's not tall. He's like 5'10". Cage is probably about like 6'2", 6'3". Cage's appearance is an awe-inspiring sight to behold. His armor is a deep black, as if it was crafted from the shadows themselves. His eyes are a fiery red, glowing with a malevolent light, weaker than Voltaire's. He wears a suit of shiny black armor over his Void Wraith robes. The armor is adorned in intricate symbols, representing different tenets of the void. In one hand, Cage carries a massive triple-barreled shotgun, its barrels gleaming with deadly intent. The air around him crackles with the prismatic dust as he approaches Nux, his every step ringing out like thunder in the boy's ears. He sneers as he lifts up the shotgun. "You never should have come on this ship, little boy." Roll initiative.
This motherfucker.
So he immediately fires his shotgun at Nux. Yeah. Roll your armor.
Yep.
What did he get? I can't see.
He got a 1.
Okay, so yeah, you fully deflect it. Like your suit, your bulked up suit, takes the shotgun blast, and like you see all of the bullets deflect basically off of your chest and shoulders and arms and stuff, and like one pellet is stuck on there. And Nux just like reaches up and like flicks it off of his chest.
And so is it the suit that pulled him out of the miasma, or did Voltaire let him?
No, it was the suit. It was the suit.
Yeah, and then so Nux kind of like.
But he's still, just so you know, he's feeling strong, but he's not clear headed. He's still wavy, and like the air in front of him, like he's tripping, like the air in front of him starting to get that like oily, prismatic like color effect, and like fucking Cage is like, his body is like waving back and forth and stuff, so he's like fucked up.
Okay, so Nux, upon like deflecting that, realizing that the armor saved him more than he could have anticipated, we're in initiative now, right? So that was his turn. It's my turn.
It is now your 2 turns, because remember,
Yeah,
Nux
so,
fucking thugs.
And how close is he to Voltaire?
I would say it's like 15 feet from you to him, 15 feet from you to Voltaire, and about 25 feet from him to Voltaire.
Okay, so yeah, Nux, upon seeing this dude like fucking shoot him, he just kind of like yells out loud, gritting through his teeth, "We don't have to do this!" And he sprints towards him and tries to bury a knife in the guy's armor, in his face.
In his face? Shit. Okay, do it.
So the slow action closes the distance, fast action attack.
Yeah. And since you're going for a critical, so that's a 3 success. All right, let me roll an armor. All right. So yeah, how much damage does the blade do?
3 damage.
6. Okay, he's not dead, but you majorly fuck this dude up. Like, so describe how Nux literally fully pierces this guy's helmet and head with the blade, and like the knife is in the guy's face, like in his face. Like you have fully stabbed this guy in the face.
Okay.
And he is like,
yeah, so what
he has 1 hit point.
Is he on his feet or no?
He's on his feet, and he's completely shocked and stunned. Like, completely shocked and stunned. This guy walked in thinking he was big man boss level, and you took him from 7 hit points to 1 like that.
And so in the threat assessment, did the suit understand what his weapon's damage capability is?
His shotgun?
Yeah.
Well, you used your fast to run and your slow to attack.
I'm about to use my second turn.
So your second turn would be your fast to then analyze?
Oh, okay. No, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I think Nux, he's like the sense of frustration when Voltaire kind of pulled him down, manifested himself in just kind of this rage. And he's almost trying to wonder whether or not the suit is providing the rage or if the suit is just amplifying it. But
yeah,
he can't figure that out right now. But he upon yelling, it doesn't have to be like this. He just like sprints forward, but he realizes that the trajectory that he was expecting because of his wobbliness isn't going that well. So he actually sprints a little bit to a different direction, and he grits his teeth again, like fuck, come on. And then in doing that, he gets a side angle on, what's this guy's name?
Cage.
He gets a side angle on Cage's face and just buries it in it. And probably that miasma gave him an angle that he didn't anticipate that he would otherwise take.
It was very much like a One Piece type, like extended anime, like arm swing back to just like.
Yeah, and he like jacks the knife into the guy's face, and once he realizes from his previous experience fighting the Void Guards that he did get a good angle on it, he wastes no time at all. With his slow action, he aims and pushes his left blade into the guy's face.
Oh my god! Roll the attack again.
And then how do I do aim with or can you aim?
You can't aim melee weapons now.
Okay, so yeah, he just fucking jabs it. 5 successes.
Oh my god.
3 damage, 5 successes.
All right, well, go ahead and describe how Nux kills this guy.
So Nux, upon realizing that his knife got embedded in the armor, but the suit is giving him information. The suit is feeding. It's like, oh no, that's not just armor. And upon seeing, he kind of like looks. He's like, because this guy's 6'3", you said he's huge.
Yeah, he's big. He's a lot bigger than Nux is.
Yeah, so he like jams the blade into the guy's face, and then the suit's basically giving him this like beautiful, almost euphoric, like blood has been shed, and he like sees that color, and he feels this like sense of euphoria as he jabs the other knife into the guy's head. And at this point, is he dead standing?
He's dead standing.
Okay, so as he's dead standing, Nux realizes that there's no more life, and the suit kind of like gives him this like rewarding euphoria. And as the body drops, he holds onto the helmet and just like rips as hard as he can, as the guy falls, to sort of rip his head out with the helmet.
And then what does he do as Cage's body drops to his knees first, headless, and then just hits the ground?
So Nux upon kind of falling on the body, just holds the head in his right hand, and he like holds it towards Voltaire, and he's just like, "How many have to die?"
And Voltaire just like laughs, and he goes, "He knew the risks."
And then Nux just throws the head towards Voltaire.
And as the head like hits the ground and like rolls towards Voltaire's feet, he leans down, picks it up, and like presses a button on the side of the helmet, so like the head just like the mask like shifts up, and he's like looking at this man's face, and he just like tosses it over his shoulder like he doesn't give a shit. And he looks over at Nux and he goes, "You should be feeling pretty bad right about." And then all of a sudden, like, Nux just like vomits inside of his helmet.
Oof.
And this sensation of vertigo takes over. His body starts to buzz hard, and the sound of a burn fills his ears. It's almost like he's dying, until Nux falls into a deep, partially lucid slumber, his body sinking through the floor of the bridge as if it was lava. When he opens his eyes, he finds himself back on Chinsen, but it's a different time and place. The streets are filled with the sounds of laughter and chatter as Nux, Ramsey, and Ketch walk down the street. The sun is shining, the birds are singing, and everything is perfect. Nux looks at Ramsey and says, "I heard that Sarah's going to be at the arcade later." Ramsey's like, "No way, really? I think she likes me." Nux says, "Well, today's your chance. Just be yourself, man. Who wouldn't like you?" And Ramsey laughs and grabs a hold of the corner of his lips and makes a funny face at Nux and goes, "Who wouldn't like this?" And Nux laughs, and Ketch jumps up and licks his face. Nux smiles and scratches Ketch behind the ears as Ramsey says, "I'm glad we're all together again, even if it is just in a dream." Does Nux say anything or do anything as he's like getting this like crazy like fucking experience just like racking through his brain right now?
How much sentience does he have about it? How much does he know what's happening?
It's like he can't move the body, but he's like trapped inside the mind of the body, like aware that like this is like not right. Something's not right.
Yeah, he just kind of like talks. He like talks openly, and like he has like he doesn't know what's happening to him like at the meta state, but in his conceptual state, he just goes, "I hope we have a chance to make memories again."
And as the pair turns the corner, the sky darkens and the sounds of laughter fade away. Nux's heart races as he watches the horrors unfold in front of him. He sees two Amber Sapiens wearing the ragged, bloody, sagging skin of Victor and Sabrina, wreaking havoc in the city streets of Chinsen, their weapons firing on innocent colonists. He feels a deep sense of helplessness as he watches the monster that is Sabrina fire the shot that ends his uncle's life. Tears well up in Nux's eyes as he watches the chaos and destruction bursting into a sprint to reach Arthur's body. But then the spaceship hovering above the colony fires down into the city and destroys all the nearby buildings. Walking through a concrete fog, Nux hears the whimpering of Ketch and drops to his knees to crawl beneath the chaos. What he finds instead of the fox, however, are the polished black boots of Commander Haas. On his knees, Nux looks up to see the man staring down at him from nearly a mile into the clouds. His eyes crackle with energy, and he points down at the boy with a prodigiously massive hand to say, "The price of sacrifice is heavy. The line between hero and martyr is thin. Eternity awaits, but so too does judgment." Nux tumbles down a twisting, never-ending vortex of colors and shapes. The pulsating visions swirl around him, throbbing with an intensity that makes him feel dizzy and small. He's lost in a sea of chaos and has no control over his movements. Suddenly a figure appears in the distance. It's shrouded in darkness, but Nux can feel its presence there. The figure moves closer, and as it does, the colors in the vortex start to fade. Nux is enveloped in darkness, but now the figure looms over him, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. Nux can hear a voice calling out to him. The voice is deep and rumbling. It fills him with dread. You have chosen the path of sacrifice. Now you must face the consequences. Nux is lifted up into the air and hurtled towards a wall of fire. He feels the heat on his skin and he braces himself for impact. Instead of hitting the wall, he's pulled through it. He feels himself being pulled into a bottomless pit. He tries to fight against the pull, but it's no use. He only falls faster and faster. The visions around him become more and more gruesome as everywhere he looks, he sees creatures of every shape and size suffering, their bodies fused together and writhing in pain. Welcome to the realm of the damned, the realm of the future. This is what happens if the order fails. This is what you're trying to save. Nux has never felt so scared in his life. And just so you know, he gets hit with fucking this shit.
Deep sigh.
As he falls deeper, he tries to fight against the pull, but it's no use. And then suddenly, Nux finds himself standing at the edge of a pond. It's not just any pond, though. It's a pond of bones, stacked upon each other in seemingly endless expanse of blood. Nux tries to take a step back, but his feet are rooted to the ground. The next thing he knows, he's sinking into the pool, being engulfed and overtaken as death surrounds him, choking him, until finally he sinks beneath the surface, drowning in a sea of remains. In the control bridge of the Orpheus, Void Wraith Voltaire sneers. You're too late, little brother. The end is inevitable. Nux's body lies still and unresponsive on the cold metal floor, as his armor and helmet retract back into their secure bangles on his wrist. As he inhales, a network of red veins permeate through his skin, creeping past his eyes and into his brain. Towering over the boy, the all-powerful Void Wraith Voltaire gazes down with intense scrutiny. Standing next to him, a Void Monk walks up and approaches. Confirm he didn't make it to the freight deck. Negative, the monk responds. All creatures are still confined, but he released a handful of prisoners. Gather them and return them to their cells, Voltaire commands, his eyes alight with fervor. Remove the boy from my presence. Take him to my private altar chambers. He and I have work to do. With a light voice, the monk intones, Embrace the void. And making the hand symbol of this associated with the hasteners, the monk leans down, picks up Nux, and drags him out of the room. The bridge falls silent as the opalescent mist continues to pour off his shoulders, the only sounds coming from the hum of the engines and the occasional clanging of metal on metal as Voltaire walks back to the window looking out into space. He stands there, his black and crimson robes flowing with the mist, the reflective red skull helmet casting an ominous red glow across his face. He's lost in thought as he gazes out the massive window into the endless void. Yes, together, everyone will embrace the void. And now, I will be the one to deliver it to them. To be continued. In the infernal...
Unbeatable motherfucker.
To be continued in the Infernal Garden on February 10th.